Good morning, good evening, and welcome to World of Warships. My name is Robin, and today we are reviewing the second episode of my Marine Nationale series, this time with the Silver Line Tier 6 French battleship Normandie. But first of all, thank you very much for tuning in the video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you will enjoy your time here. After reviewing the Dunkirk in our previous video, it was logic to get out there and try out a new contemporary, so without further ado, let's get into the details of the ship we're about to sail in. The Normandie has 12 340mm guns in a 4x3 turret configuration and with a top range of 19.8 kilometers. She has 48,300 points of health and a top speed of 29.5 knots. Very impressive stats on paper. Her anti-air defense system is rated only 21. Her surface detection stands at 15.7 kilometers and the armor thickness goes from 12 to 364 millimeters. Let's now move on to the upgrades and commander skills I've chosen for this build. In this domain, we've installed Main Armament, Modification 1, Damage Control System, Modification 1, Aiming System, Modification 1, and Damage Control System, Modification 2. For my commander, Preventive Maintenance, Expert Marksman, AR, and Superintendent. Again, a pretty standard build, but that is what you should expect for Tier 6, at least during the grind of this specific line. Compared to Dunkirk, Normandie brings an impressive armament to the battle, with a slightly larger caliber and a better firing range. Although she also comes with some drawbacks. A rather vulnerable armor layout and a poor turret angle if you want to bring all your guns to bear, making it difficult to deal damage without exposing your broadside. But that is enough of these descriptions. Time to put some footage behind these words and review the ship on the high seas. So, without further ado, let's take the Normandie to battle. And here we are, on the map Trident, Domination Mode. We have spawned on the northern part of the map and we are slowly making our way down Objective C. The matchmaking is pretty standard, Tier 5 and 6. Thankfully, we did not have to face Tier 8s this time around, so this should be a rather comfortable game for us. Although, as lower tiers allows it, we have 2 aircraft carriers on each teams. Now, that could be a problem for me, since my anti-air, far from being non-existent, is still poor, and the Normandie isn't nimble at all. So I intend on staying close to friendlies, cruisers and battleships that is, and try to progress in formation a bit more shielded from air attacks. And yep, I'm already detected. Nothing surprising since the concealment of this ship is not what stands out really. Our team is deploying in a very aggressive way towards the cap though, and I like it a lot. Shells already in the air, the enemy Cleveland is spotted and we took our first salvo now. Pretty much like the Dunkirk, the gun system is not particularly reliable when it comes to accuracy. The main difference being that you are launching 12 shells in the air instead of 8, so I'm guessing that compensates a bad dispersion by sheer volume of fire. We still miss the Cleveland though. That is the trait of French battleships in my opinion, so far at least in my low tier experience. I've been playing a bit of the Bretagne, the tier 5 of this line, and it's pretty much the same. You have a large volume of fire, but poor dispersion, and you can say that about a lot of battleships at this tier. It's just me and my habit of high tier battles where you can reliably punish targets like this Cleveland if he shows you broadside. These kind of shots would happen in the Fuso too, but then Fuso has the range and a larger caliber, so gunpowder wise I think Normandie gets outclassed most of the time. So with that out of the way, let's get back to the action. The enemy team already lost their only destroyer, which is very good since we don't have to worry about torpedoes. Ship-launched torpedoes at least. I can try to help out my cruisers by pushing the sea cap rather aggressively. Even if it is still early stage, the enemy team is kind of shying away from the objectives and bunching up behind them in a very defensive way. The best counter to it is to flank in a pincer move, create crossfire on each side and have a field day. And loads of broadsides. Again, juicy broadsides. When I play a battleship, regardless of the tier, I always go for a broadside, whenever the situation allows it, of course. I would pick a faraway target, but broadsided, rather than a very close bow-on cruiser or battleship. And you should too. As a battleship captain, you should always keep an eye out on the minimap and watch for ships that could be exposed to you. You have a slow reload. You have all the time in the world for that, and you will get rewarded by higher damage and by helping your team in the process. That is, in my opinion, the baseline of a battleship. But then you have the Normandie. That cannot hit more than one shell out of 12 on a big cruiser at 14 kilometers. You guys saw the salvo I took on the Cleveland. Oh well, I'm just kidding. Let me stop ranting about the accuracy. I believe that the ship is very balanced, I do. It feels powerful every time you take a shot. Having that much firepower at tier 6 like the Fuso is great, and you are not overpowered. You have a rather squishy broadside that takes a lot of penetration damage. Not as tanky as a Bayern, for example, so there is balance, definitely. I have much less to complain about on this ship than the Dunkirk, that's for sure. I feel like Normandie is more consistent in her task, even if she suffers the same traits as her premium contemporary. Meanwhile, I tried to take a sneak peek into Sea Cap to capture it, but the area is a bit too hot for that yet, and I do not want to get focused down early. Even if I'm still very healthy, one well-placed salvo could cripple me, big time. Fortunately, I was lucky this game and you won't see me take a massive broadside damage, but don't be fooled, this ship can be punished quite heavily if not careful. Well, I got punished a different way. A full strike from the enemy CV took a large chunk out of my health and I just could not defend myself at all. Not a single plane shot down. It was the first time I was attacked by a CV in this ship, and little to say, I was a bit disappointed in her anti-air capabilities. I do not have any anti-air build on the ship, you saw it in the introduction, and I wonder if Normandie could shield herself properly from air attacks if spec'd for it, modules and skills. But at tier 6, I do not know any battleships that are known, especially for their anti-air. Tier 7 definitely, we have the Scharnhorst, Gneisenau, Duke of York and plenty other battleships that can have a really powerful anti-air if, again, spec'd for it. Tier 6, I don't know. Maybe you guys have an idea or a build that could work for that purpose. But let's get back to the fight again. We secured a kill on an enemy Normandie and finally managed to punish the Cleveland for his broadside with a couple of penetration damage. When we look at the minimap, nothing has changed, really, when it comes to the enemy's positioning. They are still all grouped up south, not doing anything impacting the game, really, and that's allowing us to flank them, slowly but surely. Again, I am a bit shy on pushing forward even more since I would be running into the bulk of the enemy's forces, but I can slow down my speed, turn, just chill here, and keep scanning for broadsides. Mid-tier battles are so different compared to what I'm used to. I enjoy them a lot. I should be playing it more often. High tier is somewhat so unforgivable that you tend to grow a bit worn out by it at some point. The gameplay of tier 6 and the dynamic of the match is so much slower, your reaction time is a bit larger and everything seems to be sluggish and sometimes even a bit derpy. Ships are sailing around, not really knowing what they are on about. We got to remember that some players here are still grinding the lines, and you will see a lot of basic mistakes. And as an experienced player, it makes you smile a bit. But again, I'm drifting away from the action. We keep securing kills here and there, but the game is kind of stalling right now. It's about to change though, since we got a couple of ships breaking through our flank and pushing the side of the enemies. Realizing this, I decide to get a more central position in order to create a crossfire. The enemy ships will most likely be bow on towards the east or running away west, so me being in the middle would allow me to catch some broadsides. I know, I say broadside a lot, but I'm addicted to it. Broadside is life, when you're not the one showing it, of course. Meanwhile, we have two enemy battleships trying to have a last-moment impact on the game. Normandie and Serie are pushing B very hard, but they are both very low health, and I intend on taking them out ASAP. We could consider this game a close one, since the enemies are keeping up on the kill count, and even if we are ahead on points by a great deal, you all know how fast a game can turn. Oh, friendly Fuso is down? I did not realize it. Might have been the enemy carriers actually. I gotta keep an eye out for planes still. But I'm focusing the Normandie with some sequential fires, and I'm about to take her out. Eventually. Again, good demonstration of the rather bad dispersion. I could compare that kind of shots to Charnos accuracy, to be honest. We should have been able to take out that Normandie 2 salvos earlier, but I'm not quitting. We will get a good grouping eventually, and there we go, we finally take her out. On to the Julio Cesare now. We are getting rather lucky that no one is focusing us, really. That previous CV strike kinda crippled us a bit and compromised our healing potential. The enemies are allowing me to pressure this position, and it is paying off. Julio Cesare is down, and we can now reclaim Objective B. Although we kinda messed up, since we could have lagged near C a bit more previously, and we could have captured it for our team. Regardless, I have another target to deal with. Our engine, by the way our only destroyer, is having a bit of an issue dealing with an RLP Congo. So while I'm closing in on B, I'll see if I can send some shells her way. And we do hit her quite hard for 10,000. Finally a salvo worthy of this ship, if I would say so myself. And at this point, it's just a matter of protecting the caps we already have, secure a couple of kills, and call this a win. Anshan is actually pushing into the A cap, denying the point progression of the enemies. Everything is going to be alright. We do have enemy fighter planes in the area though, and I'm trying to stay close to my friendly Koning in case the CV decides to strike again. We achieved to confederate. We did shoot at a lot of different ships indeed. Well, because we were scanning for broadside and picking our targets accordingly. Trying to finish off the Congo here. I think he's at a complete stop. Congos are pretty squishy ships, so I should be able to secure that kill. But still, we hit her hard enough for the engine to gun her down. And now we have control of all the caps and both flanks are clear. Perfect. It's time for us to push middle and start engaging at close range. And this is quite a long game. Again, Tier 6 is very sluggish, and so far, well, we've just been sailing around and shooting stuff left, right and center. Nothing really super duper interesting. So I'm going to speed this up a bit until we get to some more action. Hey, more broadside. The enemy Bretagne is a bit tunnel visioned on our Anshan. I think our DD got bored and decided to just go guns blazing for the remainder of the game, so we can exploit that sweet side and go for our greedy Kraken. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention was the fact that the middle turret on the Normandie rotates in a 360 manner, meaning that you're always able to keep two of your main guns to bear in almost every situation, especially when switching sides, bow on or retreating. So that's a bit of a plus, to be honest. Bretagne takes out our DD, bit of a shame. That Anshan could have hunted down the CVs, but we brought the Bretagne down shortly after and secured our 5th kill of the game. And now the CVs are exposed. At this point, let's be honest, it's just farming damage. The CV is on to me again, but this time I have the Leander and the Koning to help me out. I do take a torpedo, but I'm far from being down. And look at this. Point blank shot on the Zuhayo, and we completely missed the Citadel. That's one of the traits of these battleships as well. The shell velocity being quite high, shells tend to just punch right through any targets regardless of their thickness. Against battleships, this is devastating since the fuse will activate, but against lighter armored targets like the Zuhayo or some cruisers, you tend to get a lot of overpenetrations. We do secure the kill on the Zuhayo, and now we are on to the Independence. The enemy team only has 2 cruisers left to defend their carrier, and they are not in position to do enough DPS on me. I just need to kill this CV to end the game. That has been going on long enough now in my opinion, so I'm going for that. A bit of hesitation on shooting the Cleveland, but considering how trolly the dispersion can be, I prefer going for the more reliable damage. And never mind, overpen City again. Independence is a thick target too. This should have done way more damage, but he was flat broadside and it could explain the overpen mechanic. Now though, he is at an angle, the fuse should activate and take him out once and for all. Shells in the air, enemy planes incoming as well. If I don't take him out, he could get a killing strike on me, but we do score a Citadel, ending the game and securing a victory. 140,000 points of damage dealt, over 3,000 XP earned, and a fair amount of silver gained. We achieved Confederate, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber. I chose this game to review since I believe it was a proper showcase of how the ship performs at medium to long range. We did play it rather passively and safe, but we had a great impact on the game anyway while doing so, securing crippled targets here and there and dealing damage where needed. So, in my opinion, Normandie is a good battleship for her tier. She does not offer anything truly special, but comes with decent capabilities. So yeah, she will fulfill her role, if played by the book, I guess. Well, people, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for staying around until the end. I hope you've enjoyed your time, and if you did and you're a kind heart, give the video a thumbs up. If you did not, thumbs down, but stay tuned anyway. There is more content to come about World of Warships. So, until then, you have a good one, and you take it easy.